After all these videos, I'm finally on camera. Other than time-lapse stuff of my bald head. Mostly because all the previous videos I shot were on my Canon S100, which is a point and shoot, and it doesn't have a rotating screen, so I couldn't see what I was shooting, and to do something like this would take 10 minutes to set up. So I put it off until I got this cheap Canon H500, or is it an R500? I can't remember which one it is. Whatever the hell our cheapest one is. So I thought I'd do a quick video on my workbench. I use the term very loosely because I don't do any work here. My job has nothing to do with electronics. I am a doorman in New York, but you know, it's a hobby. So I'm going to switch to handheld, and something I normally detest, but don't really see any other way of filming this, so I figure I'll do a quick handheld section and show my bench and computer and electronic stuff. Let's see, you know, I live here in New York. I'm Canadian. I live here with my wife. We have 3 cats. That's one of them. That's Moose. Say hi, Moose. No? Alright. And we've got a gecko and a dog who is not here right now. But, yeah, so I have this section of the apartment to fill with computer and electronics junk. So, let's get started. Starting on this side, I have my audio setup for my computer. This is an Adcom GDP 400 preamp, a GFA 535 power amp. Got a Project RM5 turntable with the speed box. Very nice. Picked it up off of eBay. And a huge trip light rack mount power filter. It's the Isobar HT7300 PC, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. I just got this thing and I haven't been using it much, and I just noticed that it's showing 0.5 amps for some reason. I'm pretty sure it's not pulling just 0.5 amps, but I don't know. And I've also got an Akai graphic equalizer, and yeah, so that was my keyboard. That's the who the hell makes this thing? I forgot. Such a great keyboard. Oh yeah, the Mitas Tactile Keyboard Pro 3, I think. It's a clicky mechanical keyboard. And I'm just watching some Hearthstone stuff on YouTube. And this is my LCD. It's an HP LP2475W. This is an amazing IPS panel, 24-inch. Uses a ton of power. It's like 100 and something watts, which is a lot for an LCD. And yeah, it's an older non-LED backlight, but man, it just looks so good. This thing was like ridiculously expensive too. It was like $1,000. I just built my wife a Hackintosh and got her a 23-inch IPS LCD for like 120 bucks. It's insane. Got Shockwave, keeping my speakers safe. These are audio analog digital sound CM5s. They weigh like 15 pounds each. They're made out of concrete. They were something like $2,000 in the 70s, but I got them for free since rich people tend to throw away stuff in the garbage without thinking. I've got my second cheapo Dell monitor. That's just for hookups. I've got a whole bunch of connections here, FireWire and whatnot, for when I'm testing stuff and working on it. And I have a power bar attached to the wall. I might switch it to a smaller one just because it's kind of in the way. Oh, and my Hackintosh. This is a Fractal Design R4 Define R4 case with I've got an older motherboard in it. I don't remember the exact model. I think it's a Z87 and an Intel i3770K overclocked. 24 gigs of RAM and I think about 24 terabytes of hard drive space, give or take. Maybe a bit less. I think I have like 11 or 12 in here, and the NAS has like 24. It's all running off this big APC UPS that has 2 batteries in it. Down here, this is what's left of my Mac collection. I had a huge Apple collection when we lived in Toronto. I had like 55 Macs at one point, gigantic collection. And yeah, I threw away most of the computers and just kept stuff like, you know, there's like an original Newton box and stuff like that. And up here I've got my ESD mat, which I just got. I don't think it's in any videos yet. And I've already got weird flux residue stains on it that I cannot get rid of. So that was money well spent. I've got these Gladiator storage bins everywhere because they just hold a lot of stuff. And this is Moose. 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 Let me get to the oscilloscope. Moose. Come on. You gonna move? I'm shooting a video. Come on, man. Come on. Go. Thank you. Yeah, he's 20 pounds. We adopted him last year. I don't know how we ended up with this thing, but I don't know. He's nice. I've got a Heiko FX 888D soldering iron, just, you know, cheap. The Corad KA 3005P power supply, which I've modded in a previous video with a quieter fan. And an older Tektronix TDS 420A oscilloscope with the fancy floppy drive and everything. I picked this up off eBay for 60 or 70 bucks because it was broken. They said it would turn on and then shut off, and it turned out they just had the brightness turned down on the CRT, so one pot adjustment, and it works fine. I've also got my little Fluke, well, I say little, 8050A multimeter, and it, you know, it works. It's kind of an older design. It doesn't have things like continuity. I've got my funky light here, my lamp. I shoot a lot of videos using this lamp. I don't remember the name, but this is something that someone threw out, and it's like a $600 lamp. It's ridiculous. It's in like the Museum of Modern Art and stuff. Art. I don't get art. So I've got component storage along the walls, you know, capacitors, the usual stuff. This is the newest one. It's got more surface mount stuff in it, which I'm just starting to use. I've never really used it before for much. And what else we got? Just junk along the top, like my USB microscope and stuff like that. Spare solder, just tools I got lying around. Down here is more storage bins. This is kind of stuff I haven't really organized much. I have my brand new Heiko, what is this again? I always forget model numbers. I'm so bad with model numbers. It's the FD300, I think. Something like that. I'll put it in. But it's a desoldering tool from Heiko, their newer model. It replaces the 808, I believe was the old one. And this is what my wife got me for Christmas. New DeWalt drill. Very nice. Should be making appearances in videos soon because I use power drills to, well, as a big fancy screwdriver. And what else we got? Canon laser printer. Don't remember the model. It's really good though. I just picked it up for like, it's like 120 bucks or something. And I have a spare speaker that's been modded. They threw away 3, and I'm just going to keep it for the driver if I blow out one of these or it fails. These are meter reading devices for like Con Ed and stuff, for when they're reading your gas meter. I got them for like 99 cents on eBay, and I will do a teardown out of them. They're kind of neat. They run DOS, and from what I can tell, you can just install whatever you want on them. So it might be a little fun thing to experiment with. But yeah, I just have like Arduino stuff in here, spare scope probes, stuff like that. I have a bunch of Arduino clones and whatnot in there. You know, all these little LiPo chargers and stuff like that. I just buy a bunch of cheap stuff on eBay and experiment with it. Mostly just to learn, because I'm not a big electronics guy. I just got into this in the last year or so, and you know, I've always been a computer guy, but I've never really gotten into electronics. So This has been kind of a learning thing for me lately, and figured I'd shoot videos of it. And boy, the payoff when I see those 8 or 9 views, boy, it's all worthwhile. All the hours of editing makes it all worthwhile. But I still enjoy it. One thing I have been considering is switching to Windows. I have been a Mac user for 20 years, and I am I'm considering it more and more. But I'll have to switch to Premiere and Lightroom from Aperture and Final Cut. So I'm still contemplating it. Not really sure if I'm going to yet, and I hate dual booting, so it'll be something that I have to do all at once or not at all. So I might build a simple Windows machine just to get used to it and see what it's like running all the other apps, and just get used to all that kind of stuff while I'm getting ready to transition. So I might do that in the future, but it's not set in stone. I mean, I've been using Apple stuff for years. This is just the current thing I'm working on. It's just an Atmega 328 surface mount running at 8 megahertz, so it can run on 3.3 volts. And I've got a little boost converter here, bringing 1.5, or well, 1.2, give or take, up to 3.3, and a little Nokia 5110 LCD, and 2 buttons, and that's all it's going to be. I'm going to get a board made. I actually made my first board recently. This guy right here. The very first board I ever made. Only one fix, not bad. And it was a really stupid fix. I mean, oh man, I can't believe I did that. I put an inline resistor to the, this is an AT Tiny 85, an inline resistor to it instead of a resistor to ground, because originally I had a transistor in here instead of a MOSFET, and when I switched it to a MOSFET I didn't change the resistor placement, so I had to slap in a resistor to ground. All this does is, it's kind of a joke, as with most things I make. This is to run a PC fan with magnets on it to air out lockers, and it just runs off a battery and just switches on the fan every once in a while. I mostly made this due to the fact that I want to learn how to do the low power stuff on an Arduino, so I figured this was kind of an interesting thing that has a really clearly defined lifespan. You can figure out how long it will run, how many days it will run for, where it runs the battery for X amount of time. I figured, it'd be more interesting than just doing it for no reason. So this is my first attempt at something like that. I've got the board here. I had them made at Osh Park. Very, very good. I really like it. So yeah, this project stems from a joke that a coworker and I have, where he, because I'm Canadian, he always makes fun of me because I'm Canadian, even though I've tried to explain to him we're the same as you, just with better healthcare. So he constantly says, trying to come up with Canadian names, the most Canadian name in the world. So I just put in a bunch of Canadian names and lets it randomly generate them. So I thought that would be kind of funny. Well, I mean, it's currently programmed to do that, but I want to make it so it's universal. You can program it to do anything, because it's just an LCD and 2 buttons, so you can have it a slot machine or whatever you want. So it's kind of a universal handheld device. But I'm still working on the prototype. I mean, like, the software is almost done, and the hardware layout I've almost finished. I'm making it in Fritzing. Fritzing is really terrible. I mean, it's just so cheap and amateurish. But it's what I got, and I might switch to KiCad at some point. But until then, it is just something I'm doing in Fritzing, and I should be done soon. I should be able to order the boards pretty quick. But yeah, well, I hope you liked the boring tour of my desk. It's filled with many, many, many 99-cent wins from auctioneers in China, and not much else. Just some old test equipment.